as it was said, my name is Jakub Onderka. I am security analyst at Government CERT, that is part of National Cyber and Information Security Agency of the Czech Republic. The important things for government CERT is like handling incidents. So in case that there is a cybersecurity incident in Czech Republic, in the most important critical information infrastructure, it's our work. We provide support for that organizations that are affected by that incident. But it's not the only our work. We have much more things to do. For example, we are also responsible for securing confidential information and information systems. That means if there is typically government communication between ministries or between important organizations in Czech Republic that they use, for example, top secret information, if they want to share that information through that information system, we have to certify that system. Or we are also responsible for example, satellite communication security. From the start, I am not a crypto guy. I don't understand much about crypto algorithm, so I am more developer that I develop things in Rust or in Python. So my presentation will be more like high level than you. So I will not go under the algorithms. Why we need post-quantum cryptography? For the information security, there is something that we call triad. So we need to protect confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information that we transfer between different systems. And for all of them, cryptography helps us mostly for confidentiality or integrity, but also for availability. For that, we use symmetric and asymmetric algorithms. That's, I think, something that you already know. And that's everything's worked well until now. Or why? Because now we have something that we call quantum computers. Currently, the quantum computers, I call it something like quantum calculators because they are still not so efficient, so performant. For example, the first Czech quantum computer that was established this month, as I remember, it's based in Ostrava and it has just 24 qubits. But for the cryptographic part, we need something that the computer that will, quantum computers that will break our asymmetric algorithms. We need something that we call cryptographically relevant quantum computers. That means that that computer must be that fast that it can break classical cryptographic algorithms. We don't know how much qubits we need. There are estimates that it needs almost at least 4,000 qubits. So if we now have maximum 200, it still need to be 20 times more performant than quantum computers that we have now. And when these computers will be available, we don't know exactly because it's still in the research. Maybe some people think that quantum computers are already here. That's probably not possible because we would see that. And some people think that they will be never that performant, that they can break classical cryptographic algorithms. But probably they will be with 50% of chance not before 2031. So we still have some time. What that algorithms will break? Symmetrics are okay. There are some expertise. Some experts say that even 128 bits symmetric algorithms are still okay. Some experts think that we have to raise keys to 256 bits. But even if we raise that key size, it's still okay because that's something that we already use now in TLS communication. You can switch to IIS 256 bits, and it's just reduce the performance of your communication or latency. But it's something that you can just configure even now, and you can be safe. But for asymmetric algorithms, they will be broken. And we have to switch to different algorithms. Why we have to solve it now? Because there are two problems. First is that some systems are too old and it will take time to replace algorithms that are integrated in that systems. For example, the typical IT system have lifespan 5 or 7 years, but some systems can stay with us for decades. For example, this system on the picture is the main system that is intended for taxation in Czech Republic, and it's operates since 1993, and it's still the same, and it still looks the same. So if we want to integrate that algorithms in that system, it will probably take a lot of time because it's so complicated, and it's use a lot of old stuffs that probably they need to change a lot of things to implement new algorithms. The second problem is probably already heard about that. It's something that we call harvest now, decrypt later. That means that somebody, some actor, bad actor, can already steal our data, encrypted data, and they can save that data to the data centers, and they just wait until the quantum computer that is fast enough to break current cryptography will be available, and then they can break and they can check they can decrypt that communication. How it works, it's a typical man-in-the-middle attack. So this is one example. There is communication between two people that they send emails between each other. Imagine that email is encrypted by current symmetric and asymmetric algorithms, and the bad actor hijack, for example, one router on the way between 1 and second email server, and they steal all the communication, and they save that communication to data center somewhere in the desert, for example. But it can be like, there is different attacks that can make man-in-the-middle attack, like BGP hijacking or other attacks that attackers can take the data from even if they are encrypted. In TLS protocol, we use cryptography for three most important things. First, we check server identity by checking the certificate. Then we have to agree on the key that will be used for symmetric encryption. As I said, symmetric encryption is okay, that we don't need to switch algorithms, we just maybe need to raise key size. For checking server identity, the algorithm that we use now, it's asymmetric, so we need to switch them also to new algorithms, but we still have time, because for that we have to do that after the post-quantum computer, cryptographically relevant quantum computer will be available. So we still have like probably 5 or 6 years. But the key agreement is the most important thing that we have to change now, because with old algorithm, with classical algorithm for key agreement, the harvest now, decrypt later attack is possible. How we can protect our communication, because if we want to be safe from harvest now, decrypt later attack, what we can do. First thing is something that we call quantum key distribution. It's like something that is based on physical photons and their physical law that when you break that communication, the communication is broken, and that means not broken, the communication will stop. So, but if you cannot get the key agreement, but the problem is that you need to send photon from one side to another side, right? And it's possible probably just when you have like exact location, when you communicate, when you want, for example, communicate by phone or something like that, it will be not possible because you need optical cable between two parts. There are also systems that use satellites on in the space, but it's also super expensive because you need satellite in the space, right? And then send photons from one side to another side. So, but it's not just experimental technology, it's already in production use. For example, Czech company Cetin, that is Czech operator, it's already used the technology to connect two data centers between two data centers that are in one city. The problem is that also there is a lot of problems with the technology, like the optical cable must be like just hundreds of kilometers maximum. And then if the communication length is longer, you need some repeaters and things like that. So second approach is post-quantum cryptography. And that's great because it doesn't require changing of think how we communicate and put new cables, but we just need to change algorithms. There was competition that for a long time, and then this year, NIST, National Institute of Standard and Technology, that is US government body, standardized KAM algorithm for key exchange. That's great because we can use that algorithm, and when it's standardized, industry can use that technology for communication and to implement that in their libraries. We also use something we call hybrid approach because cryptologists still don't fully trust new algorithms. For example, there was a SIG algorithm that was intended to use also for key agreement, as I remember, and that algorithm was cracked in 62 minutes on one CPU. So there was a big flaw on that algorithm, and they found that there is problem in 2022, but that algorithm was in that competition for a long time. So some people maybe can think still that these algorithms are still too new to trust them. So hybrid approach is being promoted. What that means, it's a combination of classical and post-quantum algorithms. There are some disadvantages like high latency, or that we need to compute more algorithms, so it will take more time, but it provides higher security. The attacker needs to break both algorithms to break the whole communication. So if there is flaw just in one algorithm, the communication will be still secure. In TLS, we use combination of classical algorithm X25519 and ML KAM 768. Even before that was standardized by NIST, some organization and some organization already experimented with the Cyber 768 that was before that standardization process was complete. So it was already even before that it was standardized. This previous algorithm was supported by Firefox or Google Chrome, so it was already possible to use that algorithm for communication in the normal internet before that standardized algorithm was released. So, as I said, that's the key size, and that's the new algorithms are that if you use hybrid approach, the key size is higher than it was before, and also like the computational complexity is higher. That means that we need more power, and also latency is raised but the good thing is that these algorithms are used just during you establish new communication. So if you are already connected, the throughput of the bytes that you can go through your systems are the same, but just the latency when you establish new communication is higher. According to Google, the latency is higher about like 4%, so it's not that much. What is current state of implementation of that hybrid approach in TLS? It's supported in our major browsers. Google Chrome supports that algorithm since version 131. Firefox also supported algorithm since version 132. And if you update it to latest Safari on macOS or iOS, that was released last month, iOS 26 or macOS 26, it's already supported too. So all major browsers are already supported new algorithms, so you can use it. So probably if you update it, you already use that algorithm. Also many TLS libraries added support for that. First, I think that I realized that supported algorithm is boring SSL, that is fork of OpenSSL from Google. Also AVS library, cryptographic library that is released by Amazon, already supported algorithm. For if you don't use OpenSSL 3.5, that already also supported algorithm, you can use Open Quantum Safe Provider, that is extension for OpenSSL 3. If you use Google language, and so if you compile your application with version 1.24, they add that support too. And as I said, OpenSSL 3.5 already, that was released this April, adds support. So that's great because it's very popular library among Linux system. So if the operation system update for the library, it gets for implementation of the algorithms for free. From the operation system perspective, it's, as I said, it's already supported on macOS 26. Alpine distribution already also integrated with the Beyond Trixie, already implemented OpenSSL 3.5, so they get the for free. RHEL is a little bit the operation system from Red Hat. It still doesn't support that. They released version 10, I think, a few months ago, but it still didn't include OpenSSL 3.5. They use Open Quantum Safe Provider, and it's not enabled by default, so you have to enable it yourself. So that's a little bit not nice. And they even consider it as still experimental. So I am not sure if it's a good idea to enable it on production systems. So probably it's just if you want to experiment with that implementation, but you shouldn't do that on production system. And also Windows 11, it still doesn't support that new algorithm, but they said, according to Microsoft, that they will support that this year. So I hope it will be soon. But the difference is if you have Windows even 10 or 11, if you use Microsoft Edge, that's the just fork of Chromium. So it's like more like Google Chrome than Internet Explorer that we used before. And that Microsoft Edge already uses boring SSL, so it supports post-quantum cryptography. From web apps perspective, if you use modern browser and you connect to Google, you do some search on google.com, you already use post-quantum crypto. Also Cloudflare, if your website is protected by Cloudflare, by their web application firewall or DDoS protection, they already turn on post-quantum cryptography. And also our portal that is intended for as a reporting platform for NIS2 directive, it also supports post-quantum crypto. There are some research that they check how many domains already support the new algorithms, and they find out that 28% from 100,000 most visited domains already support that. The problem is that almost all of them is just because of Cloudflare. So Cloudflare protects 27% of domains from a list of 100,000 most visited domains in the world. So they they protect more than 25% of the internet. The problem is that we just see the communication between the visitors and that Cloudflare service. But we don't know if the communication between Cloudflare and the original server is also protected. I heard some rumors that, not unofficial information, that is just few percent of that communication that is protected by post-quantum cryptography between Cloudflare and original server. So if attacker can check the communication here, it's protected. So here it's not possible to do harvest now, decrypt later attacks. But if the attacker will check the communication here between Cloudflare and original server, they can still do harvest now, decrypt later, even if from the visitor perspective, it's fully safe. And how it looks like from the perspective of Cloudflare. 1 year ago, there was just 16% communication protected by post-quantum algorithms from the visitors of Cloudflare protected servers, and now it's almost 50%. So in 1 year, the adoption rate was really high, and so now even almost 50% of all communication that goes to Cloudflare is already protected from post-quantum, from harvest now decrypt later attack. But in the real world, it's not just about TLS, even if it's most common protocol for protected communication. We have also SSH communication that already supports post-quantum crypto for key agreement, and even the version that was released a few days ago. Even if you connect to the server that doesn't support one of the post-quantum algorithm, you will see this warning message. So that's great, because people will see that the communication is not that secure as it should be, and they will update their servers. Also, if you use Signal for communication, it already integrated key agreement protocol that is quantum safe, and even Apple iMessage that is also supported on since iOS 17.4. It's already also use public post-quantum key establishment that is secured from harvest now decrypt later attack. I'm not sure about WhatsApp, but last I checked, it still doesn't support that post-quantum algorithm. When we have to switch to post-quantum algorithm only, it's complicated questions. There are multiple answers. From NSA, that's the agency for in the US that is trying to promote post-quantum algorithms in US agencies, mostly on government sector. They said that in the web server and cloud services, the post-quantum algos should be now default and preferred. And since 2033, it should be exclusively use post-quantum algorithms. So we have just 8 years to switch to post-quantum algorithms only. For some other usage, like the software firmware signaling, it should be preferred, or not the preferred, exclusively use in 5 years. European Union has the similar approach as I think. They released this year roadmap for the transition to post-quantum cryptography. It's intended for states, for EU member states, so they should implement that plan. It's not intended for it's like the organizations that are based in European Union or operate in European Union. And that roadmap says that it's here. The post-quantum transition for high-risk usage should be done by 2031. So it's 6 years from now. What means high-risk usage? It depends on the communication. But mostly it means that if you communicate something that is really crucial for your company, and it goes through the internet, so the communication goes through the untrusted environment, it's usually high risk. Because, for example, if the communication is inside your data center, it's protected by physical barrier, so usually it means that it's not that it's in trusted environment. And for medium risk usage, migration should be done by 2036. What is our approach, like our agency approach? We have something we call minimum requirements for cryptographic algorithms. This document is just in Czech language, so sorry for that. We don't have English version, but I hope soon we will release also English version of the document. And it says it already includes post-quantum algorithms. This is like algorithms that we considered as safe. Here it's written that if you use just key agreement algorithms, ML, KAM 1024, it's safe. Or you can choose to use one of these algorithms, but in hybrid mode. So you have to combine two algorithms as we talked about that before. We still didn't say that you have to use that new algorithms. You can still use the classical algorithm. It's still OK. And we still didn't say when you have to migrate. But I think this EU roadmap, we have to implement it too, like the Czech Republic. So I think we will mandate to use post-quantum algorithm as this roadmap requires. But it's still not decided. In my presentation, I talk about our portal, that is our main website that we will use for mandatory reporting for organizations that will be under our cybersecurity law. And for example, one of the most important part of that reporting is reporting incidents. If there will be cybersecurity incident in critical information infrastructure in Czech Republic, they have to report it through this portal. So this portal will contains a lot of sensitive information. So that's the reason why we implemented post-quantum key agreement algorithm in our portal, because there is higher probability that our portal or our communication will be attacked by state actor, like other country actor. We also wanted to gather experience about implementing post-quantum cryptography in the real world. And of course, we also want to promote post-quantum in Czech Republic. How we switch from OpenSSL to boring SSL at the time, because we wanted also implement support for HTTP3. And when we switch to boring SSL, we also realized that it contains support for post-quantum algorithms, so we switch to them. What is our experience? It's very great. We didn't receive any reports from our customers that they have problem to communicate with us. We also didn't see any real slowdown or increase in CPU usage on our web application firewall that terminates TLS. So we didn't have any problem to implement that new algo. The only problem is the switch to boring SSL, because as even Google said, it's not intended for general usage as OpenSSL, and they don't recommend anybody to implement and depend on it. Because as they really said, it's frustrating, and it was also frustrating for me to implement boring SSL, because they change how the compilation process works, and we have to find a solution to fix it, and it took me some hours to fix it. So that's the reason why probably in the future, when the operation system that we use switch to OpenSSL 3.5, we probably switch back to OpenSSL. What is our adoption rate? I check our statistics from our web application firewall, and I realized that 58% of communication is already protected by this new algorithm. It's public part that is accessible to anybody. Anybody can access it and check that website, so it's not just real users, but it's just also robots and other stuffs. But I also check internal part. That internal part is accessible just for people from our agency, and 90% of that communication is already protected. So I think for some systems, we can already switch to post-quantum algo only, so we will not support any other algorithms. It's still not decided, but for some internal systems that are intended just for our organization users, so I am thinking to switch it exclusively to post-quantum algo. This year, from my experience, is the year when implementation is this year is of support for post-quantum key agreements. Many libraries, many products already implemented that. And as I said, it's possible that implementation of that algorithms will be mandatory for systems that are regulated by our cybersecurity law, but it's still not decided, like the date or how it will be, how it works. You can use that algorithms even now in regulated systems. In Czech Republic, there is nothing like certification, like FIPS or something like that. So you have to decide what algorithms you can use if you are regulated under the Cybersecurity Act. But our agency can check it and tell you that it's you did it wrong. But what I think that it's much probable that browsers and big companies like Google or Microsoft will force us to implement post-quantum crypto much earlier. As I showed you before, the warning message from OpenSSH, I think similar warning message will soon be in browsers, and people will start ask why is this communication not that secure as it should be. So I think browsers will force us much earlier to implement post-quantum algorithms than states. And it's also necessary to prepare now, because otherwise the implementation cost will be higher. If you have to replace your hardware or things like that, it can be much more expensive if you do that later and not now. What's the problem also is the post-quantum certificates. That problem is still not solved. But we still have time because, as I said, for certificates, the problem will be here when the quantum computer is really here. That is that performance that can break that crypto. Even if you use current certificate and post-quantum algorithm for key agreement, the harvest now decrypt later attack is not possible. How to prepare? If you are a software or hardware developer, you should prepare your products to support post-quantum key agreement now. Because at least from governmental organizations soon, or maybe even now, they will ask, and if they purchase new products or systems, they will ask, do you support post-quantum algo? And if not, they can say, okay, we don't want that product, because they already know that they have to implement that post-quantum algos. And if you are just security manager in some companies, you should map which systems will need to implement post-quantum crypto as a priority. If you are interested more about the topic, I wrote an article that is also, just in Czech language, but if you use Google Translate or DeepL, it should give you at least a way how to implement it in your organization. That's all from my side, and if you have any question, feel free to ask. Yes.
Yeah, that one.
Sorry.
So how is this going to work for Cybersecurity Act, especially for CRA? The reporting requirements are different, right? Like it has to be reported to EUVD. The EUVD doesn't exist today, and it's still being debated. How is it going to be, and whether or not it's going to be replicated between NVD, the National Vulnerability Database that US maintains. So without that in picture, is this going to be something that's only applicable for companies operating within Czech Republic, or is it going to be something mirroring back into EUVD at a later date, or what's the plan strategy here?
I am actually not sure, because I am not a lawyer. I am more like technician, so I don't know all the regulations that are going on EU level. I am now responsible for cybersecurity law that we implement in Czech Republic, and it works like that. Mostly, only companies that operate in Czech Republic can be regulated under our cybersecurity law. And what we will do, that some companies that operate in multiple EU countries, they have to report that incident to the country that it's like their main headquarters is, and then the national authorities report that incidents to the EU level. But I am not sure that are other regulations, like other acts from European Union and that then can work different. So I'm not sure because, for example, there is financial regulation that works different and also other regulations that can have specific requirements.
Yeah, my dilemma is this. As a US manufacturer, if I am selling into Czech Republic, I am still obligated by CRA eventually. Yeah. So I'm still not clear how it's going to work in a unified fashion.
I am not sure about Cyber Resilience Act because at least for now, they don't report to us. I think you should report to a European Union level, but I am not sure how it works in reality because it's still not finished, as I know.
Yeah, I have a question basically on almost the same topic, and it's sort of a few parts here. The first one, what's the benefit for the company of reporting the incident? Do they get some help from you guys, or is it that you won't find them? And the second question is, who has access to these incidents, and in which form? For instance, cybersecurity researchers that would like to understand the threat levels that are out there.
So for the first question, yes, we provide help. We have not just we have multiple departments that are responsible, for example, for forensics, or we can share you more information if that attack happens to multiple organizations in Czech Republic. We can give you advice because we already analyzed the incident, probably, or maybe not, or at least we can also report to government. So if it's really big or really big incident, a government can provide you more resources. But it means, for example, if you are hospitals, something like that. But yes, we try to help. In some countries, it can be different. Maybe other countries, they have different capacity and they don't help. But you have to, even then, you have to report it. And the second question was, sorry, I forget.
Yeah, who gets access to the database to be able to understand the threat level and what has actually happened, so that you can take preventive measures?
Yeah, we are really, for us, the confidentiality of the information is really important because even if it's mandatory to report that incidents, sometimes organizations don't want to do that because they are afraid not just that information can leak, but also they are afraid that we will find them. So they have to pay money for that incident. But so the confidentiality of that information is very crucial for us, and we don't share the database with any third parties. And it's regulated by law that what kind of people can access the information, and the only thing that we share is statistical information about incidents in Czech Republic. Every month we had 24 incidents, 18 was DDoS attacks, one was very important. That's all we share to public sector, to people in Czech Republic.